can just choose one, and we're going to start in our hero's pose. So for hero's pose, um, heels are wide. We started this way last week. So you can put the block between the heels, sit down on that. We're going to be here for a little bit of time to do our pranayama or our breathing work. So hero's pose, where you nestle your hips down between your heels and eventually let them drop down to the mat, can sometimes be a little bit much for long periods of time. So if you'd like to, I would pull in a block, or you can also take a blanket and just roll it up and high enough so that you've got some good cushioning to sit upon. All right. We're going to start our breathing practice. Apparently, Gracie's going to join us on the mat today without any music, and then we'll turn that on later when we get into the flow. All right. So today's class is a strengthening and opening class in our shoulders. And the shoulder is a very complicated joint area. There's essentially just a bunch of muscles and ligaments and tendons that are holding our shoulders into place. There's not much in terms of a socket. Like, we've got a pretty good socket, or most people do at least, around your femur heads to keep that joint in place. But shoulders, and also then essentially shoulder opening and shoulder flexibility, is so much so based on a really intense network of muscles and ligaments holding that arm bone, humerus, into a very shallow shoulder socket. So it's important to let go of your ego in anything that has shoulder flexibility, and instead really tune into your body and where your limits are tonight, and to be gentle and find some compassion. So tonight's class is going to be challenging, because they're always fun and challenging, right? But also there'll be a lot of reminders about really feeling into what your limits are tonight, and finding poses that challenge those limits and strengthen them, but also that feel safe. So sitting here in hero's pose, I'm going to start with just absolutely no shoulders to start. Just sit up nice and tall. Close your eyes. Begin to breathe in and out through your nose. And last week, we talked a lot about the area right in our hips, the base of our spine. So as you sit here, I'd like you to think about, again, pulling that energy into that space right at the base of your spine. Like it's a magnet, drawing all of that fragmented energy back into a center point. And this breath that we're going to work on first is called Viloma Pranayama, which is a volumetric breath. And so what we're going to think about is filling 1/3 of our breath capacity at a time. So breaking our breath up into 3 parts, and then a slow exhale. And so you can think about the first part being the bottom tips of the lungs, the middle part being right behind the midst of your chest cavity, and the top part being from heart up to your collarbones or your clavicles. This breath also really helps us to breathe from our diaphragm instead of using all of those muscles around the neck and the top of the pectorals to do the breathing for us. So we want our diaphragm to do our breathing. It will help to build volume. You can also think of the energy building from the base of your pelvis up, 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 and then back down. All right. So I got some good imagery. Now let's collectively take an inhale through our nose and an exhale through our nose. Sitting up nice and tall, maybe drawing your shoulders a little bit back so they're over your hips. Again, inhale, smoothing out the breath, lengthening it, and exhale. All right, now I'd like you to breathe in 1/3 of your breath capacity. Stop. Breathe in 2/3. Stop. Fill up. So same breath broken into 3 parts. Hold on the top. Let the energy build, build, build. And then slow, continuous exhale all the air out through your nose until empty. We'll keep doing that. Inhale 1/3. Inhale 2/3. Inhale full. Feel the very top of your lungs inflate with air. Feel your energy rise up your spine, filling your whole chest cavity. And then slow, steady exhale of breath all the way out. Pausing briefly on empty. Begin to inhale 1/3. You want these to be a long, continuous inhale. 1/3 stop, and then you cut it short. And then smooth inhale to get to 2/3. Stop. So it's not a gulp of breath, but you're still trying to keep it very regulated. All right, last third. Feel your whole chest expand. Feel your body using that new breath, like a fresh breeze, invigorating. Slow exhale out. And slowly open your eyes. So that breath is meant to bring a little bit more energy into our practice. I saw the chats about seeing snow. I think it's too dark to actually be able to see out the windows. I'm sorry. I'll take a picture of it in the morning. Send it to you. But it's too dark outside now. Okay. Now we're going to move into our second breath or breathing practice. So you can choose whether or not you want to stay in Hero's Pose sitting over your block if that feels good. If that feels like then you can move the block out to the side and just take a comfortable seated position. So this is a Kundalini Kriya. So Michelle, you might be familiar with this one, called Ego Eradicator. We're going to be heating up the shoulders and also doing Kapalabhati breathing, which is the sharp, quick exhales through our nose, like that. The inhale will just kind of come naturally. I want you to just focus on the exhale. And it's also meant to stoke that energy at the base of our spine, bringing it up, 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 right to the frontal lobe of the skull. All right, so get your seat, then extend your arms up and then out at a 45. Bring your fingers into your palms, thumbs still out, pressing up. Another thing I want you to think about as we are heating up the breath is as though you're taking that energy in your bowl, and let's pretend that energy is water. So as we're doing our Kapalabhati breathing, the sharp, quick exhales, imagine that you are heating that water up and it's becoming vapor and radiating out through your body. So really strong energy that you're just starting to get really excited. And then as we pause in between, we'll imagine that breath, that energy rather, condensing back into that bowl. And it'll allow us to, I think, it allows you to stay in positions longer. All right, so we got our arms up. Yeah, nice. All right, so sit up nice and tall. Inhale. Exhale out completely. Inhale 1/3. And then sharp, short, quick exhales. Maybe close your eyes. Again, think about that energy starting to get activated, starting to vaporize the particles, radiating out, holding your arms up, bringing strength, wrapping down your arms all the way to your fingers. Continue to breathe. Exhale all the way out. Keep your arms lifted. Take a full inhale through your nose. Full exhale. Keep arms lifted. Think about all that energy pulling back down into the base of your spine, into that bowl, collecting. One more breath in. Exhale. Inhale 1/3. And we'll start our Kapalabhati breathing again. Sharp, quick exhales through the nose, clearing that navel cavity. And then starting to heat up, shake that energy. Start to let that energy bounce around, expand, bringing strength into your arms, into your fingers, out through your thumbs. Let your navel draw back into your spine. Sharp, quick exhales, pumping your stomach. Exhale out. Keep your arms lifted. Take a slow inhale. Start to feel that heat in your shoulders and the energy dropping down your arms back into that bowl. Take another full breath in. Full breath out. Last round, you can do this. Keep your arms strong. Inhale, 1/3. Exhale, sharp, quick exhales. Press out strongly through your arms. Feel that heat build. Feel that energy build. Let yourself fill space. Let yourself expand. Let that energy all the way down in the base of your spine help support you here. Just another 10 pumps. Exhale. Inhale, stretch your fingers straight. Exhale slowly. Oh my gosh, bring your arms down. Oh, ego eradicator. Wow. All right. If you're not sitting cross-legged, then please do come cross-legged. And if you were sitting cross-legged before, then switch the cross of your leg. Oh, just roll your shoulders. Forward and back. So the top of the deltoids hopefully started to get a little bit of heat there. You're going to find your strap, and then I'm going to turn on some tunage here. Yeah, the snot coming out of your nose is also an ego eradicator. We had ego before. That simple movement probably helped to tone it down a little bit, huh? All right. Sharing computer sound. Okay, nice. Got some Devachka coming in. Let's start to open up those shoulders now that they're nice and warm. So you're going to take your strap, hold it between both hands. I like to call this flossing my shoulders. Inhale, bring your strap up. And then exhale, let it drop back behind you. So notice how my hands have to start to go a little bit wide on the strap in order for it to drop back behind me. What you want to try and not do is, work it up in two. Instead, you want it to be in the same plane. Inhale, come up, open your chest, and exhale, bring it back forward. Maybe try walking your hands in a little bit if it got too loose. Inhale up. Sit up nice and tall, and exhale back behind you. Inhale, and exhale. Continue to breathe, lifting and lengthening once you get to the crest of your inhale and the crest of your movement. Pausing briefly at bottom. We'll do that just one more time. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. And exhale down. Take the strap, move it off to the side. Don't it. And then simply take your hands up, interlace them, reach them out in front of you, and then maybe bring them overhead. Again, this, you may or may not get fingertips straight up overhead. They might be a little bit forward. Draw your navel in, and then let your hands break out to the side. Start to rock forward over your knees. Coming into a wide leg child's pose. Big toes together to touch. Reach your arms forward and long and bring your forehead down. Tent your fingertips so that palms are up, fingertips are down, or tent your hands rather. Start to open a little bit more in the back of the shoulders. Inhale and exhale. Noticing after all that Kapalabhati breathing, probably some nice cleaned out airways. Again, through the nose and exhale. Let the palms come down. Inhale, slowly rock forward. Tuck your toes, lift your knees up. Find a plank pose. So you want your feet to be hip width distance apart. Inhale. Exhale, slowly bring your knees down to hover. Spread your fingers wide. Inhale. Exhale, hips come back over the heel. Stretch your arms wide. Drop your head down to your gaze is between your legs. And then on your next breath in, slowly straighten your legs to about 95%. Finding downward facing dog. Here you can pedal out your heels a little bit, lengthening the back of your legs. Grip your fingertips down into the mat. Think about pulling your elbow tips a little bit towards each other and rotating them up towards the ceiling. Then press down more through your thumb and your pointer finger. So you have this internal rotation at the bottom, the forearms, originating from that grounding through your hands. All right. Slow down the pedal. Take a breath in. Let it pull you back forward into your plank pose. Exhale, bring your knees down to hover. Inhale back, hips over heels. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale forward. Exhale, knees to hover. Inhale, lengthen your arms, hip over heels. Exhale, downward facing dog. Work through this 3 more times. This is also like a Chakravakasana, a churning wheel. So make it a smooth movement. Letting yourself maybe pause briefly at the top or the bottom of your inhale and exhale. All right. And then next time that you're in plank pose, pause. Draw your navel up and in. Bring your knees all the way down to the mat this time. And walk your hands forward, coming into Anahata Asana, puppy pose, or heart melting pose. Fingertips long, forehead down. Now, if you want a little extra opening in your shoulders, again, this is where you let the ego go and decide if it might feel better to gaze at your thumbs, lowering chin and chest down at the same time. If you have forehead down, you can also tense your fingers here, bringing your shoulder heads a little bit higher up behind you. Yogi's choice. Imagine your spine hanging, dangling down from the upper tip being your hips, draping off of those hips, melting down to the floor. And slowly lift your gaze. Come forward, bring your hands in, tuck your toes, and slowly lift yourself up into a shortened down dog. Now walk ourselves in, coming into Uttanasana, forward fold at the front of your mat. You can move your props off to the side. I think you'll need them for a while. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Gently grab behind your ankles, pull yourself down. Inhale, swing your arms up overhead. Stretch up. Exhale, bring your hands down to heart center. Starting to get some good rotation in our arms, building that heat up for the whole body. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Gentle bend in the knees as you come down, and then hands meet, step back into plank. Take a breath here in your plank pose. Press through your hands, lift your spine up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, lower down halfway or all the way to the mat. If you're taking Chaturanga Dandasana, elbow tips pull in. And then inhale into Cobra or upward facing dog. If you're taking upward facing dog, your hips are lifted off of the mat, tops of your feet pressed down, and legs are strong in both positions. Exhale, rolling over your toes, come into downward facing dog. Again, grip your fingers down, feel a strength, a spreading in your shoulder blades and upper back. Exhale, let your heels weight down a little bit more towards the mat. Again, deep breath in. Exhale out. Just And breath in. Exhale all of the air out. Look forward. Step, or take a little hop to the front of your mat. Uttanasana, forward fold. Bend your knees generously here. Feet hip-width distance apart, so that's 2 fists between your big toe mounds. And sit up into Utkatasana chair pose. Now I want you to start by bringing your hands forward. Yeah. Then draw your shoulder blades together on your back. Thumbs up, pinkies down. Imagine that you're squeezing a ball, and if you do have a block, yogi block, you can actually squeeze that block between your hands. Then sitting down and back, begin to raise that block up overhead. Now notice if you start to let your hips come forward so that you can get your arms farther back behind you. Notice if you're using your lumbar spine to essentially create shoulder flexibility, or what seems like a bigger shoulder movement when it's not there. Do your best to keep your lumbar spine straight. So sometimes people say tail tucked, but that can sometimes lead to a little bit of over tucking. Instead, you just want to keep it nice and long. Imagine that there is weights dangling down from both hip points, keeping you grounded. And then notice where your limits are and when you start to use your low back. When you get to that point, pause. It might be all the way out here. It doesn't matter. Nobody can see you. I can't even tell the people that there are videos up. So no judgment, right? Find that point, breathe. If you have your block, squeeze into it. If you're doing isometric contraction, as in an imaginary ball, squeeze into that. And then exhale, release, and fold. Straighten your legs. If you have the block, move it out to the side. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands. Step back into plank pose. Inhale. Exhale, lower your knees down to the mat. Lower your forearms down to the mat. Grab opposite elbows. We're going to move into dolphin pose. If you have a yogi block tonight, you can use the block in your dolphin pose 2 ways. First way is you can bring your thumb and pointer finger around the back edge of the block like so, spreading your palms away from it. Second way that you can do this is you can bring your hands forward and around the block like this and press it down. So you're pressing down through the pinky edge. If you don't have a block, don't worry about it. You don't need it. You'll just spread your hands. Either way, forearms are shoulder width distance apart. So that's why we get the good grip on the bicep. Tuck your toes, press down, inhale, lift up and back, dolphin. Anchor your hands, anchor your forearms down, protract your shoulders. So that means pushing down through those forearms so that it feels like your shoulder blades are moving away from your spine and your humerus is actually getting longer, though it can't. And then walk your feet in, maybe a little bit wider than hip width distance if that feels better on your hamstrings. And then exhale, drop your heels down. Keep pressing through your palms. Squeeze your elbow tips towards each other so they don't sneak off to the side of the mat like they want to do. Instead, keep them firmly in place as though you placed your foundation in concrete. Then inhale into your upper back. Expand. Reach your chest a little bit closer towards your toes by pushing into your forearms. Your ears will come by your bicep. Exhale. We're building that heat. Inhale. Start to feel that energy vaporize coming into your upper back, into your fingers, up now towards your hips. Exhale. Again, building that heat. Take a deep breath in. And then exhale, lower knees down. Sit back on your heels, drop your hands behind you in embryo pose, letting your shoulders shrug forward. Take a breath into that same spot in the upper back, this time feeling the blood draw back down to your arms, to your fingertips. One more time, inhale. Exhale. Move your hands forward. Slowly come back forward, tuck your toes. Make your way into downward facing dog. Now we're going to be coming down into Anjaneyasana a couple times. So if you'd like to, you can pull a blanket across the middle of your mat for your knees. Otherwise, if you have a cushy mat, you might be fine without it. Inhale, lift your left leg high. Exhale, come forward, knee between the elbows, and then place your left foot down. Nice long lunge, inhale. Exhale, lower your right knee down. So that's where you might want a blanket underneath it. Toes can stay tucked or untucked. Inhale, reach your arms up. Keep drawing your navel in. Notice here as you reach your arms up, if you start to collapse in the low back, try and keep length there. Just like we were practicing in our Utkatasana chair pose. Then you'll bring your hands behind you, interlace your palms, squeeze your palms together, open your chest, and come a little bit more forward in your front knee. Inhale, imagine pulling this left heel back and this right knee forward. So you're squeezing everything in towards midline. Exhale, let that go. Do that 2 more times with the breath. Inhale, pull in. You might even feel your knee or your heel start to kind of pull over that skin that's resting on the mat. Exhale. Last time. Inhale, squeeze everything in. Feel that engagement of your leg. Exhale, release. Hands come down to frame your front foot, and then slowly start to pull that left leg towards straight. Heel comes in, and femur head comes in. So your toes rock up. Fingertips down to the mat. Again, you can use a block here if you'd like to press both hands on. If you're using a block, bring it to the inside. Inhale. Exhale, bend your elbows slightly. Inhale. Exhale, point your toes. Inhale, toes up. Exhale, bend your elbows. Inhale, arms straight. Exhale, point your toes. All right, last time, toes in. Bend your elbows. Inhale up. Exhale, come forward, plant your left foot down. Keep your hands where they are, framing your front foot, and then keeping your lunge, you're slowly going to move into a quad stretch. All right, bend the right knee. Bring both hands up to your left knee, and then reach the right arm around, see if you can capture that right foot. If you can't capture the right foot, use your strap. You can just bring it around that ankle, set both sides down, and then using your right hand, you'll kind of build the pose up from the back, holding on to that strap. You can extend the left palm forward. Do your best to draw that right shoulder forward. And if you want a little bit more of a deep shoulder stretch across the front, you can bring the left hand back to also capture your foot. It also helps to square your shoulders a little bit more forward, but not totally accessible for everyone. You can use also both sides of the strap here if you'd like. Sharing one of those sides of the strap with your left hand, like that. All right. This cat is very active. Just jumped on the chair. Sorry for the motion sickness. All right, slowly release that right foot. Plant hands to frame your left. Tuck your right toes and lift your right knee up. And you'll walk your hands forward. Start to move the weight into your left foot. Draw the right toes in. Again, you can have the block at the front of your mat, hands on the block, moving into vertical splits. Hips are staying nice and square, so that means draw the right hip down and begin to lift the right leg up. Drop your head so you can gaze down the line of your right leg. Rotate right at your femur head, toes down, heel up, and then maybe fold a little bit deeper. Use your hands, press into the mat or into your block. Taking another deep breath in and out. Slowly start to bend your left leg. Step your right foot far back, moving into pyramid pose. So you can again bring the block in, placing it to the inside of your left front foot. As you start to draw the left leg back towards straight, so left femur head plugs in. Hands can also frame the front foot. I like to lift up my left toes so that my leg on the front stays nice and active. You can also bring the block to your low back to make sure you're keeping your hips nice and square, like you're a serving platter. Somebody could just, have a nice little snack on your low back. Take another breath here. Begin to bend the front leg, remove your block out to the side, plant your hands, and step back, downward facing dog. Pedal out your heels. And let that pedaling start to slow. Take a breath in stillness in your down dog. And inhale, lift your right leg high. Exhale, come through plank. Draw your knee through the plane of your elbows. And then plant your right foot down. Tense your fingers. Draw yourself in a nice long lunge position. And then lower your left knee down. So again, we're here for a while. If you want to take a prop and place that under your knee, do so. And then slowly come up. Reach your arms up. Again, notice if you have the mobility to let your arms drop behind you, or if you're using your whole body to make that movement. And so if you notice that it's really coming more from your hips rather than just from your arms, pause. Come out, lengthen your tailbone down a little bit. Maybe even hold a hand there. Imagine as though you could set that bottom part of your pose in concrete. Let it cure. Reach your arms back up. And then find where your shoulder limits are. Just your shoulder. See if you can isolate it. All right, draw your navel in. And then release your hands, interlace them. Take the opposite interlace, palms together. Open your chest. Again, notice if you're taking this into your low back, into your SI joint. See if it can just be in the shoulders. Inhale, squeeze the right heel back, left knee forward as though you could squeeze something right between your legs. Exhale, release in the legs. Find a little bit more mobility. Inhale, isometric contraction, right heel back. Exhale, lengthen. Last time, pull in. And then out. Release your hands. Come to frame them around your front foot. And then slowly start to straighten your right leg. Pulling your right toes up. Right femur head back in the socket. Squaring your hips. Again, you can pull the block in. Bring that to the inside of the shin or the right foot. And then once you get your foundation, we'll start to add a little bit of movement. Inhale. Exhale, bend your elbows a little bit. Find some compression and some hinging right at the hip, not in the low back. Inhale, press out. Exhale, point your foot, planting the whole thing on the ground. Inhale, rotate over the heel, toes up. Exhale, hinge. Inhale, straighten your arms. Exhale, point your toes. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, point. Last time, inhale, toes back. Exhale, bend your elbows. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, toes forward, bend your right knee. If you know you need a strap on this side, grab your strap, loop it around that back ankle. Otherwise, walk your hands up your right quad. Square your hips, square your shoulders. Make sure you have a long lunge, so I'm not on my kneecap, but instead forward. And then reach back with that left hand, capture your left ankle. Work your left shoulder back forward. And you can start right hand resting, or elbow rather, resting on that right quad, palm up. Steady your gaze. If you'd like to take it a little bit further, you can bring the right arm around, capture your ankle, or capture that second side of the strap. Find a stable breath. Slowly opening your quad, your shoulders. On your next exhale, slowly release that left leg back down. Move the strap if you have it. Bring both hands down to the front foot. Tuck your left toes. Lift your left knee up. Start to walk your hands forward. And then moving the weight into that right foot, draw your toe forward. Plant your hands down either on the mat or on your block. Press through your right leg and start to lift a strong left leg up. Drop your gaze down the length of that leg. Rotate your entire leg so toes face down, heel up. Point, spread your toes, and then start to lift it straight up. Press your palms down again, using them as another point of contact. So you got 3 points. Again, correct in the hips, keep them square. Deep breath in And then gazing down that left leg, step it back into your pyramid pose. You can bend this front leg slightly to start, and then pull the right femur head up, toes lift, coming into pyramid. And you want to think about right hip usually needs to come up, left hip usually needs to come down a little bit. If you thought it was fun, you can place the block on your low back or keep it underneath your hands. And feel your ribs connect to your quad. The front leg, breathe in and out. Then slowly take that block, move it down. Plant your hands, bend your front leg, and step back, down dog. Pedal out your legs. And then come down to your knees. So our last pose, our last big pose of the night is called flash prep, or what's the Sanskrit? Vishva Pinche Mayurasana, which means uneven peacock feather. Fun. So very often we use our shoulders in the same way. So we're using both our shoulders at the same time. Think plank pose, handstand, dolphin, downward facing dog. There's a symmetrical weight on our shoulders when our hands are down. This pose allows us to really isolate what's going on in one shoulder versus another and really strengthen one shoulder, but keep engagement in the other. So I'm going to demonstrate what this looks like and the different levels that you can take it to or stay at and stabilize in tonight. So it's like a halfway between dolphin pose and almost like down dog. So you'll set up the same way as dolphin. Hands shoulder width distance apart, forearms running parallel. And then imagine as though your forearms were train tracks. You're going to take one train, and so just watch first and then we'll do it together, and slide it back on the track, so far back that the fingertips come in line with the back of your elbow. So right away you know that this front arm is going to be the one that is load bearing. So this front shoulder is going to be doing a lot of work. You're going to really want to press, protract in that shoulder. Now this shoulder, underneath the elbow that's bent, it can just hang out, not do any work, which you'll notice right away when you do that, or you can keep wrapping it, drawing that elbow tip in, a little bit like turbo dog. That's going to help stabilize you. So make things easier, but it's not going to bear a load of weight. So it's kind of more of like an outrigger. All right, meanwhile, while this is happening, you're going to lift up into a downward facing dog position in your legs, dolphin, walk yourself forward. And then from here, if you feel good, you could lift one leg or another. It's really important to keep your hips very square here because we already have an asymmetrical load in the front, the shoulders. So what keeps it from getting crazy is if one hip lifts, it becomes very difficult to find your balance. All right, so with the front elbow, the one that the forearm is down, you're going to think about protracting or wrapping. So really strong shoulder blade is going to come away from the spine and push. It feels like your upper arm actually gets longer. And that's that protraction, that pressing through the forearm. All right, let's do it all together. Again, you can work on just the shoulders. You can also work this staying down, maybe just lifting the knees, or maybe lifting the knees but keeping it very long or wide, depending on your hamstrings, and then slowly walk it in. Okay, everybody come down. Forearms down to the mat. Grab opposite elbows. Place your hands back down, fingers spread wide. And then we'll start on the left side. So left forearm stays where it is. Take your right arm and slide it back. So your fingertips line up behind your elbow on the left side. Then notice this chicken wing hanging out on the right side. Wrap that elbow tip in so it's not hanging out, so it can become more like a stilt, stabilizing us. All right, from here, gaze directly down at the mat, tuck your toes, and then lift your hips up. If this feels really tight, you can walk it out farther. Otherwise, if you think you can go in a little bit, walk your toes in. You'll feel that weight moving into the left forearm. Now, wrap the right forearm, elbow in. You can even slide this right arm back a little bit more, so it's behind even more. And there's more of a vertical between your wrist and your elbow. Gaze is down or between your legs. Breathe here. Again, feel that heat building in your upper back. If you'd like to, keep your right leg down, lift your left leg up. Press more into that left forearm so you feel the weight transition more into your heel. You'll notice that your right arm has to do a little bit more work now, stabilizing. Keep your left leg strong. Point through those toes if it's lifted. Feel that energy start to vibrate, start to move into your fingertips, into your toes. And then exhale, left leg down, both knees down. Extend both arms forward. Take a child's pose. Between sides, arms extend, bend elbows, and bring your thumbs to the back of your neck. Feel that buzzing, that activation in your left arm. Slowly breathe it back down. Reconcentrate your energy. Center it. Focus. Again, find acceptance where you are, finding your edge, allowing yourself to play there. Slowly extend your arms, come back up, forearms on the ground, grab opposite elbows. Set yourself back up like you're going into dolphin, spread your palms. This time keep your right hand, right forearm grounded. Slide your left fingertips back. So again, imagining that there's a line behind your elbow. You want to slide those fingertips directly back so that they are behind that line. You also want to make sure that that hand is still shoulder width distance. So that's why it's nice to imagine a train track. So it's not going farther out to the side, instead staying under that shoulder, because that will help with the balance, keeping it stacked. You know, it's almost like it's doing this, but then bent and in, like a chaturanga arm. All right, right arm is planted, Left hand is planted. Tuck your toes. Press up. Lifting your knees up, and right away, press into that forearm. So if you get a little sloppy, you'll see your chest come down, and then press. It's as though your upper arm grown a couple inches. Keep spreading through that right hand. Again, notice what's going on in the left arm. Pull your left elbow tip in, let that stabilize. Walk your toes in. Press through your forearm back. Decide if you want to stay here or maybe start to lift the right leg up. Begin to deepen your breath. Use your diaphragm to fill the bottom tips of your lungs. Start to heat up that energy, pulse it out where you need it in the body. In your right forearm, in your right shoulder, out through your right toes. Find the strength in your right shoulder. Take another 2 breaths here. Keep pulling your left elbow tip in. And exhale, lower your right toes down, lower both knees down. All right, this time, keep your hips lifted. Walk your hands forward. Going back into Anahata Asana, melt your heart down. Take either variation, forehead down, or gaze at the thumbs. Breathe in and out. And inhale, slowly slide forward onto your belly, doing a prone shoulder stretch. We'll start by extending your left arm out to the side and then gazing away from it. So you want to make sure that arm is perpendicular to your body, rest your left ear down, and then tense your right fingertips. Slowly roll onto the left side body. This right lifted leg can either bend into a tree pose, planting your foot behind you, or you can keep it long, letting it drop back behind you. It'll get a little bit more into a psoas, or hip flexor stretch. And to breathe in and out. Letting this be a nice nourishing stretch for your shoulder. And slowly roll back onto your belly. Extend the right arm out. Look away. Pull your left hand in, tent those fingertips. And then roll onto the right side body. Again, taking a variation with your legs, but doing the same one that you did on the first side. So either bent knee or long leg. Notice if there's any tension or you're still trying to lift your neck up. Let it just weigh heavy on the mat and rest. Feel this very gentle, passive opening in your warm shoulders. And then roll back into center. Lift both arms overhead. Roll all the way over onto your back. Bend your knees. Recenter yourself on your mat if you ended up off. Extend both legs forward and arms down by your side. Feel as though somebody placed a heavy blanket all the way down the length of your body, gently weighting you down. Allowing your toes to drop out. Shoulders to press back. Your hips to get heavy and sink down into the mat. And imagine as though your energy, like droplets of water, began to condense. And gravity dropped them back together, collecting in that bowl right at the base of your spine. Hips being the deepest, heaviest part of your body. And gently start to make small movements. Bend your knees. Very slowly roll to one side and pull yourself up to a comfortable seat. In your nice erect seat, again imagine that bowl of water at the base of your spine. Calm, still, and dense. Bring your hands together at heart center. Feeling calm and collected, put back together and focused. Move forward into your evening, into the rest of your week with intention and direction. Slowly raise your thumbs up to third eye center. Be curious. Follow your bliss. Namaste.